said effectiveness. That's how you would use the standard to test the impact of traditional Chinese medicine. Tell me more about how, from that angle, you are seeing China, how China is run.
I remember a joke of one of my Chinese medical teachers. I was a translator for him, and we had a group of Western doctors, and we were visiting a Zhongyi hospital in Yunnan. In this group of Western doctors, you had those people, with a bit of a smile on the side of the face, like not believing in it. But you had people who were curious, though, and they wanted to learn a bit more. And you had the people who were totally closed up. So you have those two categories of people. And one of my teachers said as a joke, the problem with Westerners is that they ask, it works in practice, but in theory, does it work? I found that thought very intelligent. And so it is true that Chinese theory is a bit difficult to understand, the five elements, how the outside world has such an impact on us, and what is meridians, what are the acupuncture points. But the fact is, at the end of the day, it works. So for me, the effectiveness is something which is probably the most important, and we should put away, all the other ideas and ideals that people might have. So this is what I think is so strong about China. Effectiveness, So, and of course, when you are going to cross the river, you're going to get your shoes wet. So you have to be careful of where you step. But the goal is to be able to go on the other side. So I think this is something that we really need to learn. But it seems that before we were saying that communist countries, I would say, they were locked up, in a sort of frame of mind, that they could not escape and see reality. I find that today the opposite is true. It seems that China was able to see how the world is functioning. The most important is that China is able to adapt to the current circumstances of the day. And this is, I think, the great power of China is that adaptability, because people, I think, were chosen also for that adaptability. As now in Western countries, we are so locked up in our ideals. When those ideas do not work, we try to find ways to explain why, but it's so difficult to advance. In Western countries, you have the woke, which is going on, also those racial issues and this extensive equality. For example, in official documents, they want to take away the word mother, the word father, just to put parents, So we're going to such an extreme that I believe that there's going to be bridges that are going to be able to be built, besides, ideology of how the system works. So I'm very curious to see on how that is going to work out.
But how do you see the Chinese Communist Party has managed to find its effective approach toward the evolving situations of China and how China interacts with the rest of the world?
Back in the late 80s, there was a movement saying that it was the end of history, the end of history as we actually thought, that the world tomorrow is going to be a capitalist, neoliberal system, and that this is going to gain all over the world, and we're all going to live like that forever. So that was a very sad prospect. And then China came along, as a surprise. I think that could be the good way to put it. It caught everybody off guard. And the problem is, I think today we are still in this a bit off guard situation. at least of the Western powers. So I think it's very important for all of us, to be able to sit down and talk. I know that China is doing that, when you look at the white papers of China, when you look at the Belt and Road Initiative. The idea behind all of that is try to find a balance, between all of us, and to be able to share the future together. So peace only works when when the different sides want a peace.
Right.
The difficulty is going to be when one side doesn't want it. Then what do you do? So I think this 100th anniversary of the Chinese Communist Party, of course, it's a very important time for the Chinese people. I mean, there is so much to be proud of, but I think it's a very important maybe moment and occasion to share your success with the outside world. But knowing that probably the Russian press, is going to have difficulties in showing what you have succeeded at. And when you look at the foreign press, they always try to, as we say in French, you take a pen and you try to scribble, So this is, I think, what's going to be the future.